Hello there. Good evening, one and all. My name is Avril and I'm from BDA Scotland. And tonight's BSL Blether is arts and crafts ideas. And we've chosen that topic simply because, well, it's December, isn't it? Um, you can see our little Christmas decoration. We've added a little sprig of holly to our BSL Blethers logo. So Christmas is coming towards us quite quickly, and um, we know that for quite a lot of us, Christmas is a period of inactivity, perhaps even loneliness, and you're looking for something to do. So we've invited someone along tonight to talk about Christmas crafts, and we've chosen a guest who is particularly skilled. So if you're stuck for something to do, perhaps our guest will give you some ideas. As I say, this person is very, very skilled, and I think you'll enjoy. I'm delighted to ask him to share his ideas with us and talk about his work. Now, of course, as you know, you're very welcome to share comments, questions, and perhaps be inspired. And after this evening, develop some crafts and some projects of your own. I'm sure you'll be inspired by the ideas that you'll meet tonight. So I'd like to welcome our guest, Samuel. Sam, would you join us? Hello. Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Are you welcome? I've been watching your posts on social media and I've been so impressed, but perhaps you'd like to introduce yourself first. Hi, yeah, my name is Samuel Perkins. Um, I live not far from Leicester. It's kind of just an area around there. So you saw when we added the banner of your name, Samuel, it said next to it Deaf Banksy. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, I'm sure everybody knows the famous artist Banksy, very well known, a graffiti artist. Um, he does all sorts of work using stencils, and um, he's become very famous in the news. So his stencil work, he layers stencils on top of one on top of the other, building up layers of paint, spray paint through stencils. And I saw that work, and I've really taken that, but adjusted it, made it my own, and yeah, people have started calling me the Deaf Banksy. So there you go, um, Deaf Banksy. I'm happy with that. Why not? Okay, yeah, he's often in the news as me Banksy and with his street art and so on. And I very often work that nobody knows the artist for is attributed to Banksy. But we all know when you produce your work that it was you, Samuel. Um, but I have to say, I agree with the name, Deaf Banksy. I feel you are. When I first met you, which I think was last year at the BDA AGM, and that was in Ipswich. And people were talking about this hot artist, hot deaf artist, and I saw a picture and I thought, wow, it got me thinking. And this year, the BDA AGM was in Glasgow, um, and I heard that you're still on the scene, still a hot artist, and I thought this was a lovely opportunity to talk to you about your artwork and to see some of it, in fact. Um, because I know you're very prolific and that you've made lots and lots of images, lots of pictures. But first of all, I'd like to ask you how you got interested in art, how you became creative. Did someone teach you, or what's your story? Well, it started really, I suppose, back when I was in school. I went to Derby school, and when I left, um, I lived with some pals, um, and I would travel, and I started just art as a hobby, really. I started making little bits of things like this. What is that we're seeing here, Sam? Ah, okay. So you've made some terrain there, and you created that model. Yeah, I did. Yeah. Um, I love cars, rallies, rally driving and so on. I mean, this little car here, so I play with like decorating them and whatever. I started kind of just finding different materials, doing bits and pieces, putting things together. And I don't know, it sort of developed into a practice. I started making a rally car, a rally road. Show us it again. Wow, so the detail you've added on there, and that's all by hand. You've all done that yourself. Yeah, yeah. I was about 16, something like that when I made that one. Wow. That was my first really creative project, and I really enjoyed it. I wanted to make more things, so I think it spiraled from there. And I became more skilled and experienced as time went along, and I did more things. So that's how it started, though. Okay, I've been having a little nose into your creativity, into the things that you've produced. So you already took art at school, right? And your interest developed from there. Yeah, I think I'm just a natural artist. I love it. I love being creative. And are your family happy with that? Do they approve of that? Do they? Um, oh yeah, yeah. No, my family. It's a mixed deaf and hearing family, and everybody is. Everyone's involved in theatre, in fashion. So everyone's really. There's a lot of theatrical people in my family, so everyone's really visual. I think. Yeah, we're a visual family. So, was there any role model in particular that you had when you were growing up or after school or no, I don't think I had a real role model. There weren't many role models around for me, so I think I'm just self-motivated really. Recently I got more and more involved in street art and so I now have role models. There's one person in particular called My Dog Size. That is their name. Yeah, My Dog Size. Dog Size. And that's the name of a person. It is. I know it's a weird name. It's a weird kind of thing to call yourself, but that's their brand. And they're based in Portsmouth. So way down in the south of England. Um, but they're just great. I mean, their work is beautiful, but also they're really supportive, really collaborative. They work a lot within the community. And I think, I'd like to be like them. I like that kind of community aspect of their work. So you're looking at that person and you're thinking about what's he called again? My dog size, or I don't know what that's what he's called. So you're looking at his work and that helps you to progress. Yeah, I've been looking up to him for about 2 years. Um, I wouldn't say, he was a fantastic influence. He was just somebody I really admire. And Banksy obviously has got to be a role model, hasn't he? Oh, sure, for sure. Yes, 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 yes. I mean, Banksy is just so smart, so street aware, I mean, really, and so inimicable. Um, he did the Dismaland project in Western-super-Mare a couple of years ago. Oh, Western-super-Mare? Yeah, 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 yeah. He made this kind of theme park, but it was a theme park about disappointment and despair. It was fabulous. Honestly, I went and it was amazing. But that had a real impact on me. I went with my family. It was but you could only go once. There was a really limited time to go and see it. But it really had a great impact on me, and I thought that's absolutely fantastic. And from that moment on, Banksy was just a major, major icon to me. Okay, we could talk a little further, but first of all, I think we should show some of your work. So let's take a break to look at a picture, and then we'll talk a little bit more about that afterwards. Let's have a look. That looks amazing, really colourful, really wow. Can you tell us a bit more about that? Yeah, it's a great picture, that one, because the artist is my dog's size, so that's his work. But I've taken that and made it into a clock. Um, so it's his style, it's his colours, it's his character, that kind of white strip in the middle, that's all his stuff. But I've yeah, manipulated that into a clock. He doesn't make clocks. So I took a photograph of that and showed it to him, and he thought it was fantastic, really liked it. So and because the hands then become the hands of the clock, the hands of the figure become the hands of the clock, and I just thought that was fun to do. You've got a bit of a fascination with clocks, I think, haven't you? Well, it seems like it. I don't know. I've done a number of different clocks. And I think that's because it's a kind of two-in-one thing. It's art and it's useful because it's a clock. So instead of it just being something that you hang on your wall, it's actually a useful thing to put on your wall. So I think that's two in one. Do you wear a watch? No, I haven't done any work with watches. That would be too small for me. That's a bit micro. But I suppose it's possible. You never know. And how long does it take you to do that? Is it quick or? Well, the clocks, I think maybe about 3 days, something like that, to make a clock. Um, I mean, you get quicker with experience. First of all, kind of getting it all together can be quite difficult, but once you learn how to do that, it becomes easier, it becomes faster. I do lots of samples, tests, just to make sure. Um, just a personal thing. I like to kind of test things out first. And so for the audience watching, they might have some old clock that they're thinking of discarding, but they could revamp that and recycle it, as it were, with some extra color and some different things. So they shouldn't really throw that out. I'd say not. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, clocks, um, you can get them from shops, Facebook Marketplace, you know, secondhand ones. You can get them really cheaply. You can really grab a bargain. And sometimes they're really they've been in someone's kitchen, they might be a bit filthy, might need a bit of a clean. But after that, you can really use a lot of things to change them up, switch them around. You can have fun with it. And the colors and things, you can I mean, I've got one that's made with playing cards. I thought that was fun. Okay, well, let's first have a look at the second picture we've got of a clock. This is very different. Tell us about that. Yeah, this clock's interesting because I think this was my first go at a clock. This was my first attempt. And it was from a shop in Birmingham. It had just been left there, wasn't really used much. So I got hold of it. Had to, carry it home, but it was fine. Got it dropped off where I needed it to be. That all worked really well. But then I left it for months actually and didn't really do anything about it. And then the person who'd bought it moved to London, and on the way, the clock smashed and they didn't know what to do with it. But they wanted to keep the exact same clock for sentimental reasons, but they wanted it, revamped. So this all came about because they were moving to London. They didn't know what to do with it. So the numbers that you see on the revamped clock are made of laser cut wood. I didn't laser cut it myself because I don't have the equipment. So I got a pal to do that for me, a deaf pal. Chatted to him, told him what I needed, and they did that for me. So I got the numbers, I paid them, of course, We all support each other. Painted it all up, um, and it looks exactly the same as the original clock. So it was a bit of a repair job. So I posted it to the person. The person received it intact, no damage this time, and they were delighted. So that was a real joy to do. Oh, so that's really nice. So you could take the original clock and just reproduce it. Now, here's another clock that I really, really like. Take a look at this, folks. I love that. It's great. I mean, the playing cards, I think a lot of deaf people like cards. So tell us about this. Looks like a great idea. Tell us about this. Oh, well, every year, I'm sure everyone's the same. You get your Christmas crackers, and they have these little tiny packs of cards, little tiny packs of playing cards, but they're kind of miniature ones. They're at least half the size of a normal playing card. So I started to get a bit of a collection of those, and I wasn't sure what to do with them. I didn't want to throw them out because I don't know, they seemed worth keeping. Um, so anyway, I started to think, what can I do with these? What can I do with these? And I thought, oh, why not make a clock? Because they're numbered. Um, and then the arms of the clock, the hands of the clock. I took pieces from bigger playing cards. Those hands that you see there were from bigger picture playing cards. Um, and I ordered some green fabric. It looked like the baize of a card table. Um, so yeah, I used that as the background, and there's the clock. I like it. And have you kept that one? No, no, no. I don't really keep many things. My friends benefit from them, so a friend bought that one. Um, Straight away they just kind of said, "I want that," and that was great. Um, so I plan to make another one, but I haven't done it yet. It's always about time, isn't it? I'm sure you will at some point. But it's such a visual clock. I mean, deaf people love playing cards, and well, audience, if you're watching at Christmas when you're breaking open those crackers, keep those Christmas cards, and then in a couple of years you'll have enough to make a clock. And a lot of people at get those Christmas crackers and throw them away, but you can use them for crafts, and that's a really good idea. I think that's great. That's really inspirational. Make a clock or whatever. Yeah, a tip I think would be, if you're not sure, go to Pinterest. Which website is this? It's called Pinterest. Pinterest. It's a little website, and it's just full of craft ideas, home decorating ideas. There's loads of craft stuff that you can tune into there. So it's full of good ideas. Oh, so look at that to get inspiration. Yeah, absolutely. If you just looked for searched playing cards, you'd get a whole host of ideas that would come up, and just give you some food for thought. So I often use those kinds of websites for inspiration, and then maybe make my own adjustments, a little bit of personalization or alteration. Okay, so we've looked at three clocks so far. You haven't made a watch, we've established that. You sure you haven't made one? No, just clocks, just clocks. Okay, that's cool. So from clocks, are you buying these kinds of base materials from car boot sales, or what kind of tips do you have for gathering materials? Ah, just bargain shops. Um, charity shops are full of clothes, but often they have a little area where, there's all sorts of kind of bric-a-brac, really, I suppose. And sometimes you can find clocks there. Um, you can find bells. I go on website, and I get notification. I set notification alerts. Sometimes you can set a limit on things like eBay, a limit of £5. Any clocks, you can set that. And then if somebody puts a clock on the market, it will come up and you can just take your pick. Okay, so Facebook Marketplace, eBay, online markets. So the next picture I want to show you is very different. Here's a different skill that Samuel has. Take a look at this. Tell us about that. We're looking at mosaic here, aren't we? Did you do the mosaic yourself? I did, yeah. This was this was quite a project. I think it was my best experience so far though, because um, I was involved in a kind of grassroots art project. Um, and they said they got this old table and they wanted to, you know, up, up, upscale it, up, do it up. And I said, okay. Anyway, they couldn't get it in the car. Something happened. They had to sort of courier it to me. And it arrived in the most awful state. It was falling apart. Things were falling off. It was broken in places. I thought, I don't know if I can do anything with this. There was a time limit of 3 weeks on the project. It was like a sort of open, they were going to have like a gallery opening and show all of these pieces. So I only had 3 weeks to work on it, and this table was in a terrible state. I thought, okay, just think positive, So I started off by, repairing the basic table, and then I had to treat it. But the treatment, yeah, kind of painted treatment, exactly so, yeah. Because the wood, I had to kind of get it back to a good state. Once I'd taken off all of this other stuff, I got it back to the bare wood, and then I had to treat it with this wood treatment. But it took the longest time to dry, like 5 days. I was sitting there going, come on, I've only got 3 weeks to do this project. You're wasting my time. Come on, dry. You could have got the hairdryer on it. Well, I don't have a lot of hair, so I don't own a hairdryer. But yeah, eventually it dried, and then I had to crack on with doing the mosaic. And I mean, it was just impossible to get it to the deadline. So I said to my mum, Mum, can you please help me with this? Luckily, she said yes, and we got it done. I think, we were working till 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, all the hours. And I was exhausted, but we finished it. We managed. We got it done. I'm amazed that we did it. We took the table back, and that's it. It was beautiful. We loved it. So, have you done mosaics before, or was this your first? It was my first big one. Yeah. I'd done some smaller pieces before. I'd been to a mosaic workshop. So I'd made a small mosaic, just one, a smaller scale mosaic, and that's it really. And so that was my second mosaic project, much larger scale and much more intense. So when you're doing the mosaic, are you buying the china? What are you using? Can you have any advice for our audience? Well, to do the table, because I had a time limit, so I didn't really have time to browse bric-a-brac and charity shops and so on. I bought from different places. I'd buy samples, I'd order samples in, and I'd go to shops and ask if they had any broken pieces. Often they didn't, but um, you know, and again, I would set, notifications for anything that was broken. I would come and pick it up, I'd on social media. And so eventually my stockpile grew. I think you should have gone to a Greek wedding, shouldn't you? They smash the plates at the Greek wedding. That might have been useful. Get someone at a Greek wedding to bring them all back. Yeah, absolutely. That would have been great, wouldn't it? I could have got a whole load. Yeah, and the weather would be better there as well. You could go to Greece. So you made the mosaic, you put all the broken ones and all those kinds of things, and how long did it take you to make the table? How many hours? I reckon that was about 100 hours of work altogether, about 100 hours. Wow. Wow, well done. That was a real achievement, and it's a beautiful table. I mean, you know, it's a table from a deaf person as well, which I think is wonderful. Here's another mosaic. Lovely. So when you talked earlier about your first mosaic, was that your first one? Oh no, this is something I've made more recently. Um, I just decided it was a, present for someone. So I'm sure that's easier than the table was, right? And quicker. How long did that take? Couple of hours or about 3 days, I'd say. I was only working in the evenings, just taking my time, taking it steady. So about 3 days, really. So what are you using for the base? Is it wood or stone? How does that work? Well, interestingly, with the table, obviously that's a big thing. Um, we did come up with a problem that the tiles sometimes came off. And so, I had to ask, get some advice about how, what to do. And it's because the table had been outside, the wood was expanding and contracting. And I hadn't realized that. So just asking around, and as I said, I'd been to a mosaic workshop before, so I could ask advice from them. And they said, if it's outside, a table that you're going to use outside, it's better to use metal. Um, but yeah, wood is not suitable for all year round if it's outdoors. You have to treat it with a particular sealant, and various other things, and of course that pushes the cost up of the project. Um, so if you're making something for outdoors, best to use metal or stone. Yeah. Okay, so that's lovely. So obviously you've got a lot of skills on show here. You're making clocks, you're making mosaics, um, and you've got tips for getting your broken crockery from wherever, car boot sales, whatever. Um, so if our audience members are at home and, through the Christmas period, they're feeling a bit inactive and a bit bored, um, they could do something else. And here's another one of your skills. Let's have a look at this picture. That is so colorful. What a pop of color. Is that spray paint or hand painted? What have you done there? Yeah, I used spray paint on that one. Let me show you the cans I use. So I'm just using this kind of thing. They just come in a can, and you just spray it on. There's so many different spray paint brands. You can get ones with the nozzle like this. The nozzle comes off, and you have different kinds of nozzles. There's a wide aperture, there's a thin aperture, there's all different types. Oh, okay. So you put that you change the nozzles are interchangeable. One will spray a broad, and one is kind of narrow. Yeah, absolutely. And then you've got different types of cans which give different power, different pressure, greater pressure, less pressure. So there's quite a lot of technique involved. I could talk for a long time about that, but a lot of people have different opinions on which is best for what. I would just recommend have a go, try, and you'll learn by practice. You'll learn which suits you. So, how many cans have you got then? Oh, I've got quite a few. I don't know. I think I've got over 100 at the moment. Over 100 different spray cans. Wow. I might have more. I don't know. I haven't counted, but I do kind of collect them. I'm gathering them all up. Yeah. Um, but they're all for different, I've got lots of different ideas stored up, and hopefully, I buy things in ready for if I manage to get that idea into fruition. So they have these different nozzles, these different pressures. Which would you recommend? I'd recommend a normal aperture, for a kind of, medium aperture, medium distance, and then you get smaller ones, um, are more useful for stencil work, really. The bigger ones are no good for stencil work because you're just going to waste all your paint. So, how do you get these? The table that you did? Did you give that away? Sell it? Actually, that was a commission. It was a commission. It was. I already had, this table in storage, and I wanted to do a project with it. Um, so I thought I'd grab this table, um, and I wanted to do something a little bit different. So took looked at lots of photos for inspiration, and again, this was a kind of short time. I was commissioned to do it, and I thought, yeah, I can do this. I can do this. And I bought a new kind of handle for the drawer because the other one was black. So I used this nice, different metal one. I think it looks better against the color. Um, yeah, I just sprayed it up, and that was it. It was good. Yeah, and the person really liked it. It's really an unusual piece. It's really eye-catching. It's gorgeous. Yeah, it's really interesting. The studio was really colorful, full of color. It's great. It's really nice. I mean, people buy from shops and homes and businesses and things, but that's really lovely. And you made something else that's a little bit similar. Let's have a look. Wow, again, really colorful. So was this for the same person? Does this go with the table? Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just did this myself first, and I put it on Etsy, you know, left it there, but actually got a really quick response. It was sold really quickly. Um, from Facebook Marketplace. Um, Somebody bought it, and somebody had painted it before, done a really bad job. So I had to take all of that paintwork off first, get it all stripped back, and then I could add my own color. Um, but yeah, I thought it would sell really quickly. It didn't, so I just hung it in my own home, and there you go. Yeah, I thought I would keep it for a while, but I didn't. It went really quickly, and off it goes. So, do you enjoy your spray work? Yeah, it's quick, so it's quite satisfying. Painting by brush takes quite a long time, including the prep and brushwork. I think, oh, maybe 3 or 4 days to do that mirror frame, something like that. Well done. So you've got all of these talents, including spray paint and colourful. I mean, there might be people watching who are thinking, yeah, I could do something colourful like that. Did you want to add something to that? No, I was just saying, yeah, they should. You have indeed another skill in your armory. So let's have a look at what else you can do. Let's have a look at this. This is very unusual. And I think it's a bird box. Am I right? It is, yeah. But it's got its own little security camera. And yeah, I was just kind of being creative. I was just riffing on that idea. I think in our own lives, when we look around, we're very security obsessed, locks on doors, and all of those kinds of things. And I was thinking about birds, they just have freedom, they just fly around. And I was thinking, what if birds were the same as us, really security conscious. What would a bird box look like? So I put this kind of alarm on it, a little fake security camera, all of these kind of details. Um, but actually, it is a bird box. But I just thought it was a fun thing to do. And did you put it out in your garden, or? I put it outside my studio. Yeah, yeah. And have birds been curious? And maybe they're staying away. I don't know. Maybe there's one in there. But I spotted there's a lot of detail on that, isn't there? You know, tiny little things. And that's a bit like the rally car that you showed us earlier. There's real detail in your work. It's amazing. And the layers. How long did that take you, the bird box? Because you're making those tiny miniature things, aren't you? Oh, well, I did it intermittently. It was just between other projects. I don't really know. It didn't take really long. It didn't take long. No. Okay, let's show another piece of your work. Let's all have a look at this. Something with spiders and haunted houses. This is a Halloween project. Am I wrong? No, it was Halloween. And every year I have a bit, gathering for Halloween, and we do different things. We like to make different games. So I kind of come up with different things. Again, Pinterest, used that website, Pinterest, and found this idea of spider racing. And you use a drinking straw to blow the spiders along. And so it's just made out of cardboard. It's really cheap to do, really easy. And you can see that cellophane, use that to make it look a bit more ghostly, a bit more haunted. So the whole thing's made out of cardboard. Yeah, 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 absolutely. Wow, so that's all recycled. That's really cheap. Oh, it didn't cost me anything at all. Yeah, yeah. And everybody came round, enjoyed the Halloween game. It was great. That's a really fun activity for children and young people too. Yeah, I mean, you could do a Christmas themed one, couldn't you? You could have snow in the window, you could have like Father Christmas's house, a different theme. You could think of another way of doing it. I haven't done the Christmas one yet. I haven't made one of those yet. Okay, let's have a look at another picture, which is a really deaf-friendly picture, I'd say. Let's have a look at this. Well, I'm sure everybody knows the deaf flag. This is the sign language flag. And I think you created this last year, didn't you, for the BDA AGM raffle, and everybody wanted to win this. So many tickets were sold on the back of this. So this year, I think we might be asking you again. And the one you made for the Glasgow AGM was also fabulous and very particular to the deaf community. So how did you think of this idea with the flag? I was in South Korea, was it last year or this year? I don't know. It's some time ago. And it was when they actually had their vote. Um, and it was a beautiful experience to see them do this kind of really colourful flag raising occasion, and it was amazing. And so when the BDA asked me, I thought, oh well, instead of the Korean flag, how about the BSL flag? And that's how the idea came about. So it was from my memories of South Korea. That was very popular because it was linked to sign language. And I think you went to South Korea for the WFD, right? So again, that's another layer of deafhood in that image, and that's a really beautiful image. And as I say, it was very popular amongst the deaf community because it shows our language, our culture, really beautiful. I haven't made one for myself yet. I should have one hanging in my own house, but I haven't done that. I don't know why. Yes, you should do your own. Absolutely. Here's another picture that we wanted to show. And again, that's really speaks to deaf culture, doesn't it? Talk to us about that, Sam. Well, I think younger generations don't get it. Older generations get it straight away as a deaf thing. The idea of gathering under the street light and continuing to sign. Now, the mice, the rats are taken from Banksy. Um, Now, there was another. Um, there's a famous French artist, um, and he made this creature called Black le Rat, and Banksy copied that, so I copied it from Banksy. Um, and the rats really, I've moved them around a bit, I've changed it up a bit, and I've made them sign. So they're all kind of chatting to each other in sign language. Um, and I've added the street lamp and the light falling on them, which was actually really hard. I tried a number of times to get that right, and I couldn't get it right for ages. Let me show you something I've got here. Yeah, see this one? Oh, is that one of your prototypes? Yeah, I always use cardboard just to test out an idea. Yeah. Well, you do it on cardboard first. Always, always. Because you don't want to waste valuable board. That's quite expensive. So cardboard is a good medium to use to test things out. So this, I don't know when I did that. That's altogether 10 different layers of spray color paint. Really, 10 layers. Yeah, so look, you get these kind of stencils, and then you layer the color one on top of the other. Yeah. So you get one layer over another layer over another layer, and altogether that's 10 stencils. So, in that process, it's really easy for one thing to go wrong, you can imagine. So you use cardboard, you do your little prototype, your maquette, and then once you've got that experiment right, you move on to board. Great. Okay. I love that picture again because that speaks to deaf culture, being out of the deaf club, signing under the street lamp. So that really speaks to me, that one. That's great. Those two deaf culture images really, I think, are great. Here's another image, which I think you're going to show us something a little bit similar. Here we go. That's something similar, isn't it? But there's a kind of unfinished painting that the rat's doing there. Yeah, and the frames you can get cheap from shops, charity shops. They can for £1, £2. You get bundles of them, um, and the stencils I make myself, and yeah, that's it. You're making art. My eye keeps being caught by the picture behind you there. What's that? It's something I started doing 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know if you remember at the time in the news there was an auction, and Banksy had a picture of a girl with a balloon. It sold at auction, and as it sold, it passed down through the frame, and the frame was in fact a shredder. And everybody in the auction room panicked and took the picture down. And I mean, that's just really Banksy's style. It's his way. So I thought I'd recreate something similar, but just with a Christmas theme. So that's a Christmas tree that's shredding. Can we get a bit of more of a look at that? Oh, so it's a Christmas tree and then it's shredding. Oh, I see that. So as if it was kind of coming down through the frame. Yeah, it's just something I sort of made, just a bit Christmassy, something a bit different. Yeah. And that's perfect. That's very seasonal, isn't it? Very timely. And I love that idea of adapting that shredded image to the Christmas theme. Having said that, we must note that Christmas is coming. It's going to soon be upon us. And I think you made some cards, haven't you? That's right, I have. Yeah. Here we go. Can you bring those a little closer to the camera there? Just a second. Now, these are interesting because I'm using these stencils that I made. And you can see I've added a little Christmas bubble there. So I make them on real card and then I photograph it. I don't add the writing, anything. And then there's an iPad app that you can use to add different phrases. So Merry Christmas and so, yeah, exactly. Then once I've got those, the ones that I like, I send those off to the printer and they come back ready made and I sell those. They're gorgeous. That's a great idea. Yeah, I mean, it's just something nice to give to friends and, it's handmade. It's a different kind of Christmas card. I do 2 or 3 designs, send them off to the printers. They come back. Really nice to send out to friends and family. It's a bit personal, isn't it? It's just something a bit more. So when your friends get that, they know who it's from. Yeah, you've made the effort. You've taken the time to create something unique. Yeah, and because there's only 2 or 3 designs, sometimes, I've made a mistake. Two of the designs work really well, and the third one doesn't. It comes back and the writing's too small. But if you've got like 10 of each, then it's no real harm. Exactly, exactly. So this one has been very popular. That sells very quickly. So well, I think I'd like one of those for Christmas. If you wouldn't mind sending me a card, that'd be really nice to receive. I think that's a really sweet and unique card. That's lovely. And the next picture was something. You've got it something to tell us about glue guns, but hold on to that and let's have a look at these pictures first. Again, really bright, really colourful, and yet another skill, Sam. So now, you said you'd made these out of a glue gun. Can you tell us? I didn't understand that. Tell me about that. Yeah, well, anybody who does crafts, arts and crafts, they always have. It's a key part of the kit, one of these. So this is a glue gun. Yeah, hot glue gun. Everybody who does arts and crafts has one of these. It's a must have. But there's one problem with these things is you're gluing something, you set your gun to the side, and the glue sort of dribbles out of the nozzle. And then it sort of sets and you've just got to chuck that bit of glue away. I got fed up of throwing those dangly bits of old glue away and started keeping them. So this is my box of glue dangle. That's glue, that's just hardened glue. Yep, yep. So that's like a little bead. And then, so I keep those, and I kept them and kept them and kept them. I thought, I'm going to use these one day, and I couldn't work out what to do. And then I bought these. I bought them for a different reason, actually. I was looking for them for another purpose, but you can see that this is a kind of mold and another mold here. So these molds, you can use these, and they're suitable for you fill the mold. Okay, so you could fill it with different things. Yeah. And I checked on Google, made sure that these molds were oven proof, and it said, yes, they are. And I thought, oh, I've found what to do with my glue bits. I'm going to put them in the mold. So I do. I put them in these strips here, pop them in the oven, leave them for a little bit. It's on just a low temperature. It's like 50, something like that. Leave them for a bit so they don't burn, just so that they soften, fill up the mold, and then you add a little bit more, add a little bit more until the mold is completely full. Just with these little glue bits. Wait until it's full. Take it out of the oven, let it cool. And you can use hot air, like a hair dryer or something, just to soften it slightly, and then you can bend it and use it as trim like this. Wow, is that from glue bits? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I've recycled it, I've given it new life, and I think that looks great. You don't waste anything, do you? No, I've made these as well. Those are made from your glue, your leftover glue bits. Yep, absolutely. Wow, and I think we've frozen. I just like thinking about different ways of using things up. That is really recycling. That is wasting nothing. What a creative brain to come up with that. That's fantastic. So maybe you're a glue artist as well. Maybe people who use these kind of glue guns are watching. Yeah, I mean, you could do all sorts of things with them. You can get all kinds of different molds. So, the world's your oyster. You could paint things up, maybe, see what you can do with it. Let's have a look at some other things that you have done. So these little houses, tell us about these, Sam. Yeah, the white one with the red roof, that's actually a jar. It's clay that I've added to a jar, you can still use it as a jar. And then the other one is a bit more abstract. And I started doing this because my mum was a real fan of fairies. She used to love fairies. So I'd make her these bits of things for Christmas, just as gifts from my mum, really. Okay. So you're not wasting a jar, you're adding clay to it. I like your non-waste approach because you're just taking normal household things and making beautiful things out of them with your craft. Now, the next picture is really special. So we'll have a look at this and then I'll talk to you about it. This is really special to you, I'm sure. Let's have a look at this. Wow. So this is fairies and yeah, tell us about this piece. What's special about this piece to you, Sam? Well, as I mentioned before, my mum was a massive fan of fairies and collects fairies. And some time back, and I'm talking about maybe 20 years ago now, um, eBay had just launched, it was a new thing. And she bought this chess set, the fairy chess set. Yeah, fairy chess. Very rare to find. So she bought it, but it came from America. When it arrived, I mean, I was young, I don't know, 10, something like that, I must have been. There was this box and, fragile, take care. My mum would look at this box all the time. And it was just left. Yeah, yeah. Um, but there was this box there, this box. And I kept thinking, she's got this box of things. And it was a fairy chess set. But it didn't have a board. So I started looking into fairy stuff and fairy lore, and it's all about nature. It's all about natural things, trees, mushrooms, toadstools, the woodland moss, green things. It's all about that. So I was thinking, well, how could I make a chessboard out of that? And then I came up with the idea of slicing through a branch of a tree and making, instead of squares, making circles. So then I had to look at how many squares are on a chessboard and that sort of thing, and made the right number of circles. And I made this sort of grass, it looked like moss. Um, and then I made these kind of little wood things, circles. And I had one clear varnish and one slightly darker coloured varnish, like an oak effect varnish or something. Yeah, you can get oak and teak, can't you? All these different shades of varnish. That's right. So that was just enough difference to give the white and the black of the chessboard, but actually translated into a kind of really natural aesthetic. And I made that, gave it to my mum, and she loved it and finally got those chess pieces out of the box. And does she play chess or is it for show only? I think she'd be too nervous to play on it. I think she should definitely have a game on that one day. That's lovely and beautiful that you made that for your mom. I'm sure that's a really treasured possession, and I'm sure she's really proud of you. And that's so creative because is it quite a big chessboard? Oh, it's about yay big. Hmm. But really, Christmas is a fantastic opportunity for anyone to make handmade things. If you know what someone likes, you can make something that's really particular to them, really personal to them. A shop bought thing is nice, but it's not quite the same. So, have you any tips for our viewers, things they could try? So, just look at family and friends, think about what they like, think about making something to match their likes and the things that they enjoy. Look around your home, think of things you could do with things around your home. Lovely. Okay. I'm sure your mum really values that because a gift from a son is very, very special, and a handmade one, particularly so. We've got one more picture. This is our last one. Um, let's have a look at this. Something you made recently, I think. Okay, so you've done all of this creativity, but now you're outside. Tell us what's going on in this picture. Yeah, well, I mentioned earlier that I'm getting really into street art, graffiti art. Um, so I've been looking around me, I'm really interested in looking at other artists. So I decided I'd set up a street art tour. And I did my first one this year, and it was really good. And where's that? Leicester. Leicester. I did my first one in Leicester because it's, near where I live. Um, I live in a tiny, tiny place. So I needed somewhere that had enough graffiti art for a tour, and Leicester was the nearest place. And the photograph in the background is, you can see the graffiti art in the background, and that's by a famous artist called Mr. Smug. Mr. Smug. Yep, that's right. Absolutely amazing street artist, and a lot of work in Glasgow, actually. Yeah. Oh, where I am. Yeah, there's lots and lots of his work around Glasgow. So I just did a kind of sign language tour of the street art. Um, yeah, and uh, and did you have quite this was a a lot of people turned up? Yeah, I got good numbers for it, and I'm hoping to run some more again. And because I'm interested in graffiti art and street art, then obviously I'm really enthusiastic about it. Um, and I've started to play with that as a medium, just playing about in my garage, um, coming up with some ideas, riffing on it, and then painting it over, trying again. Yeah, I want to get properly into it. So maybe that's my next project. You never know. So with the street art, you see ones that graffiti that's people and some that's animals. Do you have a particular take? I don't think I've developed my style quite yet. I've got some ideas that seem to be coming. I'm hopefully working with the theme of hands. So yeah, we'll see how that progresses. But I don't know whether it's going to be good or awful, but I'm going to give it a go. If it's really lousy, what I produce on my garage wall, I'm going to say nothing and pretend I didn't say this tonight. Yeah, just paint it out, maybe. Yeah, one thing I do want to say though about arts and crafts is you will make mistakes. Yeah. But that's part of the process. It doesn't matter. Don't give up and lose confidence. Think about how to solve it, how to do it differently, how to work around it, how to do something different, and practice like I do on my cardboard pieces. Just practice. Play with things like I'm playing with things here. Oh, those are lovely. But I'm just doing it again and again, practicing again and again. You will make mistakes. It doesn't matter. Carry on. Keep going. Keep going. Enjoy the journey. Exactly. Okay, so you've developed all kinds of skills in your practice. Um, the audience has learned lots of things. If they want to try something, can they contact you? You've got an Instagram, am I right? Is that the best way? And do you sell things on Instagram? Yeah, I sell some of my stuff. At the moment, it's a bit tricky because Etsy is starting to charge a little bit more. So maybe next year I'll set up my own website. I'm not quite sure. I haven't decided yet. That's something for the new year. Okay. And I think we have a question that's come in for you from Olive Lysett. Was it you who did the painting for the raffle prize in the BDA AGM? It was, yeah, yeah, absolutely. The deaf flag, I think Olive is probably thinking of. The deaf flag, yeah, she is, yeah. Yeah, the deaf flag, yeah, the sign language flag, yeah. I think we used to talk about it as the sign language flag, the Deaf Association flag. Everyone just calls it a deaf flag, don't they? But yeah, here's one of my prototypes for that. Fab. And we've got another comment here from Stuart, who again is talking about the flag. And I think Olive now wants to ask you a question. Do you have some more to sell? I think there are people who are keen on buying those. Yeah, interestingly, the 3D wave one I gave to the raffle, and that's the only one that's unique. I have other ones like this that are, on a flat surface. Yeah, I could sell that, yeah, if you wanted to order one. But the 3D wave, that's a special one that was only available for auction as a raffle prize for the BDA, because that was a fundraiser for BDA. I do what I can. Okay, so if you want a flat version of that, then contact you and they can buy that off you. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That would be a lovely thing to have hung on the wall. And one of the things I did recently was Deaf Olympics. I did a raffle for that. Again, that's a wave one. So that's going to get posted abroad. Do you have a saltire one? Can I order saltire? That would be great. Real Scottish identity one. Well, you never know, maybe. So anybody keen on commissioning things or buying things from you can just get in touch. Okay. And just before we close, because we've been talking for an hour already now, time flies, doesn't it? But before we close, in terms of arts and crafts, do you think that's very therapeutic for your own mental well-being? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's really good for my well-being. It's good to step away from technology and do something with your hands. And I think it's good for your mind to get involved in something. So yeah, I think it's really therapeutic. Yeah. Um, and just, a lot, there's been many times that it's helped me through a tricky period in my life. And, yeah, I couldn't have got through without it. Well, you've made some really beautiful things and across a whole range of techniques as well. And do you think, young people and old people can get involved? Yeah, some crafts I think can be a little bit risky, like the mosaic could be a little bit dangerous for kids because there's some sharp edges. But making things like this, that could be something you could do. So it's just made like this, just paper. You cut it into a spiral like that, and then you fold it in. Can you show us how you do this? How are you doing this? So you would just pop that on there. And then you pop that needle in there, and then you just twist it. Oh, wow! You're just twisting it. Yeah, that's it. And you keep turning it and turning it and turning it, and eventually it'll turn into this. Just made of paper. Yeah, you could make it of paper. You could add some color to that. You could do all kinds of things, I think. Like I've included them here. So that's something that young people could do with some parental supervision, and parental permission. I think for any young person, always ask your parents first, check with your mum and dad. But or maybe that's something that you could do at youth club. It could be an organized activity. Yeah, sure. I think we need to bring this to a close. I thank you for bringing so many different ideas to us this evening and really giving our audience food for thought. Any final comments for the deaf community, Sam? Any last parting thoughts before Christmas that you'd like to say? I'd just like to say anything handmade is really valuable to the people you gift it to. So think about making presents. And things don't have to be expensive. They just have to be made with love. Something handmade is always wonderful. People really appreciate the personal aspect of that. And don't be frightened. Don't think too hard about the what ifs or what if they don't like. Just cut through all that. Try it. Don't be nervous. Just do it. Just do it. Have fun. Enjoy the journey. Learn from your mistakes because there will be mistakes. There really will. But think about how you get around them, how you might do it differently, and then go again. Try it again. Thank you very much for that beautiful summary. I've really enjoyed our conversation this evening. I have too. Thank you. And you've given me food for thought. Maybe I'll be making something. I've learned a lot from you. Thank you so much, Sam, for your time and for joining us for Blethers this evening. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And I hope 2025 is a very creative new year for you. And I'll be keeping my eye on your progress. Thank you so much. Thanks. Night.